many generations before. I don't really get what that achieves.
We should learn from lessons of the past. We can't change anything, and we should move forward. But the Queen's greatest achievement, wait for it, his mother's greatest achievement was the Commonwealth of Countries. She was very proud of that. I think if you could beam her down now, she would say, my Commonwealth. That should survive intact into the King's reign. So he should do whatever he can. Now, bear in mind, I've known this man for a very long time. Yeah. He has a voice, and he will say what he feels.
Here's the real problem he's got. There's another voice yapping away about racism. Two voices. His son, Harry, and Harry's wife, Meghan, who for 3 years have branded the royal family a bunch of callous racists. That is now turning up in these polls because, understandably, frankly, black people in the Commonwealth around the world are going, whoa, really? They're racist, these people, and yet they haven't produced a shred of evidence for any of it.
You and I know the royal family are not racist, and you and I know that they pressed the racist button on the Oprah Winfrey show, and they never apologised to the Queen.
Never.
She went to her grave thinking there was a racist in the royal family.
And after she died, they said...
What happened? We didn't say that, the press said that.
We didn't mean to say it was racism.
Why didn't you correct it, Harry? Why didn't you tell your...
Well, we know why. Because it made them... They weaponised racism and mental health to make themselves extremely rich.
I totally...
All right, come on. This is my problem. This has always been my problem with this racism narrative that these two have spun without any evidence, is that people... around the world, particularly people of colour, they believe it. And why wouldn't they believe it? They're hearing the first person who wasn't a white royal bride say they're racist, these people. So the damage is palpable.
Stop it.
It's tangible. And it will lead, I think, if we're not careful, to a load of these countries becoming republics and the beginning of the end of the monarchy.
Thank you for your soliloquy.
No, thank you.
All right, no problem. So first and foremost, my feelings on the royal family and racism are not predicated on Harry and Meghan's willingness to identify it. That's the difference between me and you. We are talking about a country that was built off of racism, and we are referring to the oldest institution in this country that started it all. So that's the first thing. In terms of why black people and many others feel the way that we do, well, the monarchy is a symbol of white supremacy. OK? White supremacy. That is the reason. Let me just
Why does it make any difference if King Charles says sorry? Or why does it make if he pays money? What difference does that make?
OK. So reparations...
How does it combat racism?
No, it actually does. So let me
The guy hasn't got a racist bone in his body. He's done more for racism than any public figure in the country. Why should he be paying for the sins of people hundreds of years ago?
OK, so can I finish?
Yes.
Thank you very much. So, the monarchy is a symbol of white supremacy, which is what black people have had to contend with for the last 400 years, notwithstanding the fact that Elizabeth, or every king and queen, from Elizabeth I...
You think the last late queen was a model of white supremacy?
Let me finish my point. You just asked me several questions. Let me finish my point.
Well, answer the question,
Right,
then.
I'm getting there, so just finish.
Well, hurry
Let me
up.
just finish, OK?
Hurry up.
So, every king and queen, from Elizabeth I to William IV, has supported and profited off of slavery. So this is about the fact that this country was built off of racism, and that's the point.
This country also
Wait, hold on a
led...
second. This country...
Wait for it. Keep talking.
No, because I haven't even finished my point.
You can't just make outlandish statements about our royal family and not expect me to jump in.
Piers, you keep interrupting. Can I finish my point?
This country also led the world out of slavery.
OK, so can I finish my point?
A long time ago.
Okay.
Can I finish my point, please?
Yes.
Perfect.
So please finish it.
I will. No problem. Just be patient. So, every single king and queen, from Elizabeth I to William IV, over a 270-year period, supported the enslavement of Africans and profited as a result. So it doesn't... It doesn't take any genius. Hold on a second. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that this country was built off of racism, and it stems from white supremacy, all of which is directly attributed to the crown, slavery, and colonialism. To answer your point, let me finish my point.
Keep talking.
Piers, you keep interrupting.
Answer my question.
Let's have a conversation.
Answer my question.
Let's have a conversation.
We need mediation here, guys.
You spoke about slavery. Let me answer the point.
I asked you a specific question. Why should King Charles be either apologising for what happened centuries ago or paying money for it?
OK, so what you're talking about is slavery. I'm not talking about slavery. Slavery can be traced back to Europe. The Greek slave trade, to be specific, in 400 BC, then the Roman Empire, and then we get to the Muslim conquest of the 7th century.
And black people had slaves
So what we're talking about,
right?
exactly, so I'm not talking... About
slavery comes in many forms. There is a lot of slavery around today.
So I'll tell you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about colonialism, neo-colonialism, racism, racial disparities, and the racist system of oppression and exploitation of black people and white supremacist attributes, which have been rebanded under the guise.
What's that got to do with King Charles?
I am telling you why he needs to apologise and pay reparations.
Why? What did he do?
Anything to do with slavery.
What did he do?
I'm telling you, colonialism, neo-colonialism,
he didn't do that.
Racial disparities and a racist system of white supremacist attributes. That is the legacies of the crown, slavery and colonialism that still remains.
I understand.
Let me finally get my point across. Lord,
you've got your point across, but here's my point, my counterpoint to you. What's any of that got to do with King Charles, who actually has been, I think, one of the great standard bearers in royal history for actually promoting racial equality and tackling racial injustice?
So let me explain.
Yet you want him to be issuing grovelling apologies for people hundreds of years ago, and you want
$250,000 of that to Joe Biden's daughter. Surely not a woman who needs the money given her connections. But if we just have a look at this video now, this video was released, Lady C, on the exact day that the royal family in the UK were hosting the state visit for Qatar, where I know that Harry and Meghan were absolutely livid that David and Victoria Beckham, their former close friends, were guests of honour. And of course, this goes against an unwritten rule within members of the royal family, which is that just stay away from a state visit. Just allow the state visit to take centre stage. This was purposeful, wasn't it, by Harry and Meghan?
You know, what are they actually telling us? They're actually telling us that their labours have been minuscule and that their results have been negligible. And they have tried yet again to muscle in and to knock the proper royal family out of the headlines. But they didn't succeed, because every time they do something like this, they still get attention, but it's lower down the totem pole than it used.
Stop it. Get some help.
To be 4 years ago, if they'd done something like this, it would have been lead news. Now it's not lead news. So they have overplayed their hand systematically. And as for giving $250,000 to the Biden girls charity, that comes perilously a political donation.
Yes. Perilously close. Indeed, it does. And I also just thought, goodness me, you've only raised $1 million. I mean, that's pathetic. I know some people might think, oh, that sounds like a lot of money. Trust me, when you're dealing with their figures, that is a pathetic effort. They only put an hour of work into Archerwell, the charitable side, every week. And then they decide, oh, let's give a quarter of everything that we've raised to Joe Biden's daughter. A clear attempt to muster political influence. I just think it says a lot about them. But the other big... Oh, sorry, Lady C, you come in.
Oh, I was going to say, but doesn't it also show yet again what poor judgment they have?
Oh, terrible.
Because of course, they were hoping that Biden would be a shoo-in. Not only was Biden not a shoo-in, nor was his acolyte Harris, and now they have Trump to deal with.
Indeed. Indeed. And I cannot wait. But Lady C, sorry, there is one other topic I have to ask you about this week, because it just made me howl with laughter. I have to be honest, this report, I'm going to read.
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
Read it to you. Meghan Markle's embattled lifestyle business, American Riviera Orchard, is being written off as a flop because having announced with great fanfare back in March that she had began a search for a suitable chief executive officer, with a source even telling the Daily Mail at the time Meghan is interviewing candidates for the CEO role. Prince Harry's wife was unable, apparently, to find anyone who matched her expectations. Now insiders say she has found the perfect candidate, Lady C herself. A source close to Meghan leaked to the New York Post. She is the CEO of American Riviera Orchard. Good Lord. Good Lord. This is going to be a terrible business, isn't it?
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
Flatly ignored. Even the story of their romance and engagement turns out to have been a series of whoppers. They told the BBC in 2017 they were set up by a mutual friend on a blind date. They told Netflix they met on Instagram. And what about Harry's modest proposal in their humble cottage kitchen?
It happened a few weeks ago, earlier this month, here at our cottage. Just a standard, typical night for us.
It's a cozy night. It was what we're doing, just
Stop it.
roasting chicken and
Roasting
having
a chicken, trying to roast a chicken.
trying to roast a chicken, and it was just an amazing surprise. It was so sweet.
An amazing surprise. It was so sweet. Well, according to Netflix, which is their show,
here it comes.
It was actually a candlelit extravaganza in their walled garden. And Meghan was so amazingly surprised, she managed to figure out what was happening and tell her friend about it before Harry even popped the question. A small little detail, but rather like their claim, or Meghan's claim, that they'd been secretly married by the Archbishop of Canterbury in their garden before, 3 days before, the big televised wedding, which also turned out not just to be untrue, but had it been true, would have led to the Archbishop of Canterbury being incarcerated in prison. As with all things Meghan and Harry, it would seem, the truth just doesn't really exist in their world. It's their truth, their version of it. We'll go, Richard. Iman,
Well.
Yeah.
look at the front pages there, which is when their engagement was
Here it comes.
announced.
Yeah.
Where's the racism?
Do you remember that was before she actually said that the institution was racist? And that's my point. How institutionalized racism works is
Right.
the minute
But
you
do-
dare
but
say
you
that the
accept-
institution is
sorry, but
racist,
just-
everyone
Iman,
piles
stop
on.
shouting.
That's what happens.
But you accept there's no racism in those media pages?
Because that was before she said that the institution
No,
was racist.
actually, what
after that moment,
actually,
that's when everyone decided to pile on.
Actually,
and
what
vilify
happened
her
is
as a woman.
people began to pile on when she started having $500,000 baby showers in New York and flying back on the Clooney private plane.
Which
They
is
started
several
having a pile-on.
points.
Started
Those are
having a
separate
pile-on
points.
when they used Elton John's private plane like a taxi rank whilst preaching about carbon footprint. They had another pile-on when they had other huge extravagant events they went to, and then when they're preaching about poverty on their Twitter account. Time and again, they were caught being rankly hypocritical. That was why the media coverage began to turn. Then there was all the stuff with her father. Many people felt that she was unnecessarily cruel to her father. People have since criticised his own behaviour. I accept that. But certainly to start with, they ditched him. They dropped him. Harry's never met his father-in-law in his life. You know, he proposed marriage to this girl knowing what's going to happen and then doesn't do anything to protect the father at all. And so now she's disowned him. What kind of people put compassion on their website, as they do, as being at the centre of their core being, when they live 70 miles away from this guy who has not got long for this world, he's in poor health, all he wants to do is meet his grandchildren, and she won't have anything to do with it? That's not compassionate. And also the hypocrisy and the lies are not what I think are decent values in people. And I think Meghan Markle branding us a racist country and attacking the institution of the monarchy as racist.
It's unfair.
I think
it's
actually,
unfair.
I think she
totally unfair.
she is what I would call a race baiter. If she doesn't produce hard evidence to